Candidates. Let's bring in our panel. Mercedes Schlapp is here, former Trump strategic communications advisor and a frequent person I would see every day at the White House.
Yes.
And Kevin Walling, former Biden campaign surrogate. We'll get to the Nate Cohn story in just a minute, but first of all, let's tackle inflation here. CPI went down 0.2 compared to August when you look at the year-over-year numbers, but it went up 0.1 when you do a direct monthly comparison. Core CPI was up more than a half a point. How big a problem is this going to be as we look toward November?
John, it's certainly going to be a problem. I mean, inflation remains stubbornly high for this administration. But what you saw the president out there touting was an increase in wages, especially for hourly employees at the lower end of the economic spectrum. So I think you're going to see that emphasis on wage increases and also an emphasis on declining gas prices, which is the surest indication, I think, for American consumers of where inflation stands. And the fact that it's been down for the last 13 weeks is something, obviously, that the administration is touting.
Is this something that Republicans can capitalize on? Because the Democrats seem to have controlled the narrative in this election with their opposition to the Dobbs ruling for the last few weeks.
Well, it went from the summertime being the big red wave to all of a sudden the Democrats got their groove back to then all of a sudden, well, the Democrats, it's less impressive, it's their numbers, and it's tightening up. So, look, I just saw a poll that said, it came out from Trafalgar Group saying 56% of the voters still want Republicans to make a strong case.
But that's a Republican-friendly poll group.
Well, but still, think about it. They're saying the Republicans have not made a strong enough case. And let's lay this all out there. You're talking about the lack of border security, although Kamala Harris, the border czar, said that the border is secure. You know, you're talking about the fact that Americans don't feel economically secure. And what's the Democrat solution? They want to spend and spend more money. And I think when you continue to see the slowdown of the economy, add to that the education issues that I do believe is going to be impactful for so many of these parents when they go out and vote. The Republicans, I think, have the edge in this case.
Yeah, as we saw with Bill Melugent's report just a short time ago, Kevin, the exactly. Border is anything but secure. Let me put up call for number 2 here, because you mentioned that in some areas, or this idea that they're coming back is beginning to fade. Because Nate Cohn, who's a political analyst with the New York Times, said, yes, the polling warning signs are flashing again. Democrats are polling well in exactly the places where surveys missed most in 2020. When he does the calculation, Cohn, and it's a rather involved article if you've had a look at it, I don't know if you have, places where Democrats are leading, like in Wisconsin, North Carolina, Ohio. He says when you factor in a potential error in polling, Republicans win. So could this idea that the Democrats are coming back merely be a blue mirage?
It certainly can. I mean, I still have flashbacks to 2016, so I don't believe any poll until the one on Election Day. But I do look at trend lines, and the fact that we picked up those 2 special election seats in Alaska and New York hold, when Democrats first Republicans on the ballot, we held those 2 seats and flipped Alaska. They get sworn in today. So I'm confident looking at that. And then, of course, too, what we see, to Mercy's point, talking about abortion and the Dobbs decision, the fact that Senator Lindsey Graham introduced this nationwide abortion ban after 15 weeks when the Republicans were all saying, let's allow the states to do that. I think that is going to push that issue more in the forefront when it should be the economy, to the Republicans' point, because I think they'll be more successful on that front.
I want to close on this point because it's something we discussed during the break, and it's something we discussed with Debbie Dingell as well. And I think it's important to get out there because you got the last primary of the season. You've got Don Bolduc against Bolduc as a Trump candidate. And Democrats have poured $3 million into his race, more than he spent on this race. And he's a MAGA Republican, if you will, because he's got the support of Donald Trump. The very same people that President Biden is saying they're a threat to our country, don't let them get elected. And the Democrats are funding them.
Look, I think it's a strategy that, while we were talking about this earlier, could be hypocritical. At the same time, it's effective in trying to get these type of Republicans that they call far right. I will argue that it is a lot of these grassroots Republicans that are winning. These are the ones connecting to the MAGA Republicans. These are the ones connecting even to some of these moderate Republicans. And you're going to be surprised, like you're seeing in Georgia right now, Herschel Walker in the last 3 polls has been up. You're going to see many of these what you would say non-traditional folks that have not run before, not politicians, they're celebrity types like Dr. Oz, they are going to continue to make inroads. So don't count them off right away, because I do believe that the Democrats' strategy can fail.
Let's quickly hear from the Democrat, though. Is this it's an effective strategy, but is it a hypocritical one?
Is it an effective strategy? I'll say that. And time will tell 56 days from now whether it will be a winning strategy.
But is it hypocritical?
I think it's somewhat problematic to play in those party elections like that.